guys, that's your Race Shot Legends. Welcome to the video. I am not alone. I am joined by BRONT. BRONT, what's up, man? How you doing?
Pretty good. We're having fun here, and this is it's been a while. We talked about 6 months ago, so it's good talking with you again. And we are here to discuss free-to-play stuff. It sounds like.
Why don't we just get this coat back on you, and I'll help you get out of the door here.
Yeah, man. Not just any free-to-play freaking video. This is gonna be a banger, and I know it's gonna be a banger because you are 59 days in right now, right? 60 days tomorrow by the time this bad boy goes live. 100% free to play, and you are #1 in the Hades free to play competition here. I have the leaderboard up on the screen right now, Bront, and we got wow, Hades himself is pretty high. He's #3 right now. And then we have Neva from the HH game. We have YST. We have Colred at #10. We have Matt Capper at 13. I'm just going by like some of my old-time collab guys. Nub Raids, and it goes down and down and down and down from there. But man, oh man, has this been a fun competition? I mean, you're dominating, man. You're dominating.
Yeah, I mean, I went into this just looking to have some fun because that's what Raid is. Raid's a game. So I looked at it and I'd have some fun with it and try my best. Maybe I'd be in the top 10. And, you know, there's always some luck involved in some of this stuff too. And I was not expecting to be in first place, let alone I've been in first place almost entirely for the past month straight. So it's been a pretty amazing journey so far.
Dude, I want to like look at the account and I want to talk about your strategy. Not so much for the competition because I feel like people who are playing the competition already like are in the competition, right? They don't need strategy how to compete in this particular competition. But I do want to get, I guess, like going into this whole thing, what was your mentality? Did you have like, I'm here to win this thing and I don't care at all costs, I'm just gonna grind my way to it? And did you have any like, you know, maybe more nuanced strategy going into this? I'll take a look at your account too as well. What was your mentality going in?
Well, I mean, first of all, I said goodbye to my wife and my kids and told them I'm not going to see them for about 3 months because I need to go play Raid for a little while.
Oh, so it's you.
No, it wasn't that bad. But it's definitely been a significant time investment,
yes.
Especially the early game, because the early game, you get so much energy early and you really want to get underneath the energy cap. And I think it took me almost a day and a half straight to do that. And obviously I wasn't paying for the full day and a half, but it is really, really hard to get under that energy cap. But for the most part, I just wanted to tackle it. We had a code, so we got the code that gave us Ugo and Tagore.
Oh, yeah.
And then I took the Monkey King. I'm actually kind of disappointed. There's the new code now for Supreme Gallic that's out there right now.
Supreme 6.
I would have actually probably preferred him over Sun Wukong, but I mean, I'm not going to complain. Sun Wukong is still an amazing, amazing champion.
Yeah, but to get that burner early on, I imagine would be quite a difference maker.
I still don't have a burner, really. I've got Geomancer, which, you know, is part of why I think I'm in first place, because he's just such a hard carry.
Yep.
But, and then I have second Geomancer if you scroll a little bit further down, which is absolutely hilarious.
Oh my God, dude. Where is it?
Right below Johnny there. He's...
Am I blind?
There he is. Next Executioner.
Oh, there he is. There he is. Second Geo.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, he's got random gear on there for Faction Wars. Obviously, I've not invested in him because you know, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. But again, at the same time, 2 Geomancers, good for an account, medium term, long term. Oh, so it wouldn't be the worst thing to invest in.
And they give Retro Draft for free now to everybody, right?
Yep.
She's just a daily. What is it, a little competition? I forgot what it is. What is it, like a little mission, a little mini mission?
Yeah, well, Rector's not free. Rector is what they have now is they've got called the pass, the apprentice pass.
Okay.
So for free, you get a bunch of extra 3- and 4-star chickens and some extra potions to be able to ascend Kale up and some extra books. So getting Kale up, and the missions aren't available at the moment, unfortunately, because passes are not available because there's no passes active at the moment. And then it's $15 to get you a bunch of 5-star chickens, a bunch of 6-star immortal gear, and Rector Draft.
Can I run dungeons in the background, by the way? Are these like auto or
massive impact trauma?
Yeah, here I have to save my energy. Looks like you collected my energy, so.
Oh, shoot!
Sure, run some Fire Knight if you want to.
Run some Fire Knight? Cool. All right, cool. So that's pretty cool, though. I think Rector is a beast too. So you have like what? Maybe I think like 6 or 7 level 60s I saw so far.
I've got 12 of them. So I'm running,
12.
I'm Fire Knight 25. I'm the only person farming stage 25. I believe. Actually, that's not true. Bone, I think, got to 25 and just beat my time recently, and I just beat his time again. But
So
yeah, this is my Fire Knight team. It is actually was just talking about Fire Knight recently with some folks, and it exists. It's there. It's got all the basics for it, and it runs in 4.5 minutes in a cloud of dust, and it's 100%. So I cannot complain about it, which is what you're aiming for early on.
I love it. Which of these? Who's your MV? Give me your top 3 MVPs on your account, champion wise.
Well, Alice has been the MVP. Alice is just so good, and it's kind of hard to state it. Even on my main, I've worked Alice into a few teams here or there in like arena situations because she's so valuable both as a nuker and as that lockout. But that lockout combined with the amount of damage that she does, combined with the fact you get a 5-star soul for her early on, just makes her so powerful on an early game account. So Alice, absolutely amazing. And these daily login things with the new path, one of the best things Raid has done for a new player in a long time.
What do you think about the new player experience? Okay, well, let me finish that thought. Alice number 1, who's number 2 and 3? Ugo and Tagore.
Well, Tagore, I know you love Tagore, which is
Tagore,
absolutely
man.
amazing. Tagore has been really good. The increased speed is great. In fact, I underrated Tagore because I was looking at Tagore and it's like, okay, I think I'm gonna get my third 6-star was Tagore. And I almost did Alice or Ugo instead of Tagore. And I was like, no, I think Tagore is going to help me just a little bit more because he's got that revive just in case. And of course, my books went everywhere but the skills I wanted to book for the most part. Tagore did get his A2 booked early, but then everything went to the A1. So my Tagore absolutely smacks because that's how you build your reviver to nuke.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's
Raid 101, Bront.
Yeah. He's just so good.
Yeah.
And then Ugo's been great. I don't want to say she's been an MVP. Probably number 3 is Geomancer, and it was just I got Geomancer 2 weeks in, I think, give or take, which was a good time to get him in because I had just finished kind of investing in a couple of other epics. I think I just finished booking Ugo and was starting to book Tagore, and so it was easy for me to shift once I got Tagore's A2 booked to go into Geomancer. And then very early on, I pulled a Frozen Banshee. So I got Frozen Banshee up to 5 stars really early. I don't remember if I got her from a Mystery Shard or an Ancient Shard, but she solved my clan boss early on because it very much was, all right, so I've got Monkey King, Kale, Tagore, Ugo, and I need a 5th for a clan boss team is kind of the early strategy. And Frozen Banshee was an easy add-in because that just added extra damage to what Kale was already doing, and she's a good for other stuff too, but I only got her to 50, and as I was about ready to get her to 6-star, I pulled Geomancer, and it's like, okay, I guess Geomancer is my next 6-star instead. Nice, easy, has helped solve clan boss stuff for me, and he has been absolutely amazing.
Indeed. It definitely helps to get one of the best, epics, if not the best. But outside of the time that you put in to the account and getting Geomancer, what do you think gave you that edge? You know, what would be your number 1 tip having done this now fresh to new players out there or free to play players or anybody looking to start over in Raid?
Yeah, I think there's probably 3 really good guidelines.
Oh, perfect.
Okay. Go.
The first of which is don't take your foot off the gas for anything other than champion trainings and some of the early challenges and missions. So basically, focus on getting a bunch of chickens leveled up so you can make your first 6-star as soon as possible.
So I'm assuming you want to sell that? I don't want to do it.
Hold on to it for now. That's a faction war.
Okay.
Ish piece. It's not great, but speed on it makes it usable in faction wars, especially if it rolls into.
It's been a long time since I've been on a beginning account, Ron, so I don't want to do anything I'm not supposed to.
You know.
What else can I run in the background, by the way? Sorry for the interruption. What do you recommend?
No, that's fine.
Yeah, arena. I could do anything, whatever.
Run a Minotaur run because I need to level up some Minotaur shops. So.
All right. So back to your tips. So number 1 is don't take your eye off this. So get a little bit deeper there. What do you mean by that? Yeah.
So early on, you've got all these missions that have you do all kinds of ugly stuff in the sewers. Everybody hates the sewers of Androck, I think they are, or whatever they're called. And you spend way too much time there, and Raid needs to fix that. But until they fix that, you do all your missions that have you farming those, You kind of work on getting your 3 stars on the campaign when you can, but for the most part, you're looking at taking 1-star and 2-star champions and making them into 3 stars and making them into 4 stars and getting your starter champion up early on. The sooner you can get your first 6-star, the better. And then the sooner you can get your second 6-star, that's kind of when the game really opens up. And that's after the second 6-star is kind of where I would worry about getting a couple of other champions to 5 stars before I make it third 6-star, for example.
Okay.
But if you focus really hard on the missions combined with the challenges, you can not only get through all of those early on, but you can get those resources very, very early on. And then that gives you a bunch of rewards that makes it easier to progress faster. But it also means that by the time you're done with all that stuff, you're actually well past where you might have been doing any of those missions anyway. So you don't have to go back later on when those are even more of a slog than they already are.
Okay. Good, a solid tip there. So you're focusing on basically your first 2 6-stars. That's when the game opened up for you. What about your in terms of now that there's download links, right? So anybody starting a new account, like the age-old advice, their wisdom was like, okay, you pull mystery shards, try to get like an apothecary maybe. But other than that, you're focusing on your starting champion. You're focusing on, Haikatune when you get her, maybe a war maiden like early on to try to get her. How has your philosophy changed for new players when you can take advantage of an Ugo, a Tagore, a promo code like a Supreme Galek or a Sun Wukong? How does that reorient any of your strategy as a new account player?
Well, War Maiden is almost non-existent as far as you have to go get her nowadays. That doesn't mean I don't recommend still getting one to have her. She's both usable in one of the early fusions for Justiciar, which you need to do early on in the missions. But she's also nice to have for the Barbarians faction wars, and every once in a while you need the Force Affinity defense breaker. So very, very helpful for that too. But she's no longer the...
Bro, you're so close to getting Arbiter.
Yeah, I'm darn close there. I actually need to run that Void. In fact, if you want to run some Stage 15 Void Keep, feel free to run that as well.
Sure, man. That's insane.
But I need to run some of that today.
Okay, so sorry. So War Maiden is a thing of the past. What about your starter? Did you have to lean? Did you go Kale? I didn't even notice.
I went Kale, and there was some debate on that because I know Hell Hades, for example, thinks that Aethel's the best one. I think Colred's in that statement too. And in fact, I think I've seen you talk about that recently. I disagree with that.
I think Kale's the best. No. I think Kale's the best, but I think that Aethel is the best for, like, I guess, after you find better options for poison and progression in, like, those areas, I think that it switches over to Aethel. I think Aethel's better in the end game, but, like, not that we're using Aethel, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But that weekend on the A1, like, I just like her kit a little bit better. But early on, I still advise players, like, if you just want the easiest progression starter, I think getting all those poisons from Kale is still the way to go. I would have went Kale.
Yeah, that's that is absolutely critical. The poisons are great for Clan Boss because Clan Boss is one of the early places you really need to succeed at because that's where you get your shards from. It was actually kind of eye-opening too because as much as we talk about how Clan Boss rewards are the best, Clan Boss rewards in Nightmare and Ultra Nightmare are the best. They're very meh before that because oftentimes you're only getting 2 or 3 rewards and your chance of getting shards is very, very negligible. But that means that you want to get up to doing at least Nightmare and getting that top chest on Nightmare as soon as possible. And Kale is probably the best champion for that. I also think Kale is a better campaign farmer because he gets turn meter on his A2 when he kills people, which is one of these things I think a lot of people forget about because you kind of move past him quickly. Now, I've actually moved beyond him. In fact, I've done my 2-key Nightmare already. If you look at him, number 4 right there. Wow. So,
way to go, man. I mean, think about back in the day, like how long it would take you to 2-key Nightmare, right? And you did it within 60 days.
I've been 2-key Nightmare since day like 25.
There you go. No big deal.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe it was 2 or 3 keys, but Geomancer makes it really easy. Obviously, I've got Taragi now, and Taragi makes it pretty much guaranteed, whereas before with Kale, that was a bit of a problem.
Okay.
And that was a fun thing, too. I know some people actually chose Taragi versus Sun Wukong because they thought that Taragi would be more critical in the early game. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think it was an interesting option because we did get Alice. but that speed aura for the Monkey King has been absolutely amazing for me. So that's helped in the arena stuff as well.
Yeah, I think that Monkey King is so freaking insanely good. Like, I'd rather Sun Wukong even than Supreme Galek in the end game. But I'd rather Supreme Galek, I think, in the early games. I wouldn't pass up on Monkey King, is what I'm trying to say. Like, I would still use.
Yeah.
It's hard to skip on Sun Wukong, even as a brand new player not in the competition. I think I'd still go Sun Wu. What about you in a vacuum? Who would you go with?
In a vacuum, I'd still go with Supreme Galek, and
Okay.
I think the ultimate rationing is he'll help you more get to the very, very end game. So he'll be useful in a lot of teams, and he'll probably continue to be useful for like 1 to 2 years into your account, honestly, unless you're a super big spender.
Yeah,
And
maybe that's my
Monkey King
problem.
will be good just a little bit later. He's also easier to get than a Void Legendary.
That's true. I mean, my man brings, his own increased attack, the burns, the block buffs, and the decreased speed. That's insane. Have you found? Let's go back to the tips for a second, Bront. And I want to know, as a new player, okay, we get it. Upgrade your starting champion. Get your next champion to level 60. Beyond that, how do you beyond missions and quests? When do you start to think about gear in dungeon progression, especially in terms of energy optimization versus campaigns? Like, how are you managing your energy given that you want a lot of stuff?
Yeah, one of the weird things about the way this competition worked out is the event dungeon was open when we started. So the event dungeon was actually the dungeon I focused on more than any other dungeon, just to see what we can do. And it was super helpful. In fact, I think early on I think that was how I managed to get under the energy cap, as I finally said, all right, I'm doing a decent enough stage where I'm getting 3, 4, and 5-star gear from the dungeon. Let's go see if I can get some decent pinpoint accessories and maybe help the account. And I got a couple of really good ones really early. I got a couple of regular pieces of gear early on as well. Yeah, I have to manual 449. I can get past it, but that is
Fair enough. I was impressed by your Doom Tower hard progression, though. I gotta say,
Yeah. In fact, that was kind of fun. I did a video on Templar, who was absolutely crucial for Bommel and for the other one as well. Some of that stuff's auto, some of the stuff is not.
Yeah.
But
you clear through Doom Tower easy mode, man. Easy mode. Okay, so you did the dungeon, but like, what would you advise new players? I mean, even Minnow, you got to put so much energy into stupid Minnow. So like, what do you? When is the time right to start focusing on artifact versus champion progression with your energy, or are you basically always trying to do everything?
You're trying to do everything you can, but basically getting your first champion up to 6-star 60 is a lot easier now because of the apprentice path, because of if you attach an email to your account, which is already done for you if you create it through a lot of these new links, you get a barrel. Save that barrel for your first 6-star and just take them to 60 immediately. It doesn't make any sense to farm them up to 60 otherwise.
Yep.
If you get another barrel, maybe that might be good for your second champion as well. Don't do it with Bruise. Bruise is even more expensive.
Okay.
It is definitely kind of hard to find. I'm trying to pick off the 1 and 2 or the people without speed leads is kind of what I kind of had to pick off there.
I was gonna say I don't want to like screw you over here, but so
no, I was maxed out. That was fine, but yeah.
All right.
But
okay, so back to the So you're taking advantage of everything too.
Will you let me talk, please?
You're min-maxing in the early game, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. So you get your first 2 6-stars, and then after that, as you level the champions up, you can level them up in the dungeons a little bit. So you'll notice a lot of my champions are not max level for whatever reason. So sometimes it's because I just don't need to, or in the case of Durandil there, I'm still farming his masteries just a little bit.
I like that you're focusing on Durandil, man. I love this dude. I like this.
Yeah, I love him too. That's what I said. I think I told you before we were talking about this. This account's going to read a little bit like a love letter to some of those champions you absolutely love.
Some of my faves. Yeah. Indeed, it certainly does.
Yeah, I think I may have finally pulled Bowsmith Flannan out of my arena. Nope, he was in my arena teams. So he was in one of my 3v3 teams right there. I'm not going to be able to beat that one because Harima's going to kick me. But
yeah, no, that's really cool so far. Like a lot of good advice. What has been your perspective of kind of the early game. I imagine it's been a long time since you've gotten into the early game. Like, what do you?
Yeah.
Is it more or less arduous than you thought it would be? How do you think that Plarium has some easy areas that they can improve for the new player experience? How's that been?
Yeah, I mean, there's some things they've done better. They're like, for example, they give you 7 million silver over the course of 5 days early on. You just get a silver package early, which is nice. The apprentice pack, as I mentioned, is very, very helpful for getting Kale to your 6 stars. But I think what they really do need to do is, while they train you to build your champion up to a 6-star champion,
Yep.
I think they would be better off giving you like 3 5-star chickens and then making you make your last 2. So that you can get to that 6-star early on to unlock your first 6-star, get you to be able to farm 12-3, and they could basically train you a little bit better for, all right, you know, it's literally they could do a mission where it's like, get 2 2-star champion, 1 or 2-star champions, so commons or uncommons, 2 5 stars. So basically train you to train lower level champions to that 5 stars to feed them to them. You get 3 extra 5-star chickens for doing it, and then boom, you've got Kale at 6 stars. That solves a lot of the early game, friction. And, because there's plenty of friction in this game, and, frictionless game is not fun by anybody's standards anyway, but
Yeah.
you don't want so much friction that people are like, that's it, I'm done. I'm 5 days in, I still don't even have a single 6-star, and this game is me sitting in campaign constantly running it. So
No, dude,
I think that would.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, compared to other games that nowadays in this genre, it's ridiculous, man. Like the process of getting your first maxed out champion. But go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's that. Yeah, and I think that would be a better way to kind of hold your hand a little bit with this. If you want to use a refill for farm more of the Void Keep, that's kind of what I need to do at the moment. The Void.
Sure. I'm going to take a quick look at your progression account wise here. Almost 25 on Ice Golem as well.
Yeah, Ice Golem, those are manual, those last couple, because we did have to do check-ins for that. My Spider is not 100% on stage 20. You can see the makings of the team I've got right there if you look at it.
Can I?
You're gonna use it for Void anyway.
Okay, all right. I always gotta ask, man. Once on, I think it was Boozer, my first collab with Boozer, I without thinking, because I'm such a stupid Kraken on my main account, that I spent, and he's like, no, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
Anyway, here's your team.
And just so you guys know, I had to actually talk Ash through not spending money on this account before I let him on this account. We actually had a discussion beforehand. So just, he's being good. He's trying really hard. I think I made him leave his wallet in a different room.
I'm trying. Well, you know how you can tell that you're really free to play is all these damn offers you have. Here, I would never see an offer like this ever. Like this stuff. Oh my word, man.
Yeah.
Oh my word. They're trying to suck you in.
800 gems for $10, and there's more stuff to it too. That's pretty impressive. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so okay, that was good feedback on the early game as well from a new player's perspective. Do you think you're going to finish? Are you cocky, or do you think you're going to finish? There's 1 month left, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you intend to be the first place victor?
I think another check-in on April 4th, and then I think it ends a couple days afterwards. So the dungeon check-ins is why I was pushing some of the dungeons up. So that's why I was manualing some of that stuff. Obviously, don't run that because that's not manual. They're not 100%.
I mean, the 2 cold hearts definitely helps as well.
Yeah, the problem is one of the cold hearts doesn't have a crit damage amulet. So she hits kind of like a wet noodle, and so I kind of have to hope that Geomancer does enough reflect damage that the second cold heart on the second attack actually does enough damage.
What would you do differently if you were going to start the entire competition again? What would you do differently? Even though you're in first place, I'm sure it's not a lot, but is there anything that you would do differently?
Well, I mean, first of all, I'd do Supreme Gallic instead of Monkey King, as I mentioned before. I think that would probably be helpful. But for the most part, I've been pretty happy with what I've done, where I've focused, what I've been able to get. And the arena grind is definitely difficult, but I know plenty of people managed to get through the arena grind without the Monkey King. And then once I got to High Katoon would have been just fine. I pulled a Morrigan like the day after I built High Katoon up to level 50. I don't regret her at 50 because she was still
only legendary right now that you pulled?
That's the only legendary I pulled. I got her on my 3rd sacred, I think.
Wow. That's actually pretty interesting. I would assume most of your competition have pulled more than 1 legendary. or no?
It's kind of hit or miss.
Okay.
Like we were talking about, I think Neva pulled a Harima on day one. Dante has 2 Harimas and a Tyrant, and at least one other legendary, if not 2. Um, it's
Oh man. So, because I know some people are going to be like, yeah, he has Geo, so of course he's in first place. But there's also a lot of people who got lucky in a million different ways too, right? Like there is a little bit of there's a lot to complain about in this game, but also like you're going to get, especially with the freebies they give you, you're going to get some decent options, you know?
yeah. But you know, like I said too, Smith Flannan was the only reason I was able to get through Fire Knights early, because he's absolutely amazing.
I love little Bo Smith. I'll give him a quick shout out here.
Oh yeah.
He's like an they've actually released quite a few good rares. You know, the AoE decreased speed, the increased accuracy, which is so great, and I'm sure you rely on it quite a bit in the early game to have that increased accuracy when it's tough to get even Ascension, so you can have the accuracy banner to begin with, and then the extra turn capability with the stun, like good control, just kind of a good overall champion. What do you have? Who's next on your list? To max out? Who are you working on? Like, who's your number one priority right now?
My next one is going to be my second Cold Heart, but that's because I'm about to hit I need to ascend a Void to 6 stars. And I certainly could choose to focus. I said, you got some good people here. I've got a Whisper, for example, would be another option.
Oh yeah.
But
Let's see.
it's actually hard to go like a tune there. You know, and I pulled most of those champions out just so you could see some of the ones I've kind of been working on. You know, like Gallic, who's actually a kind of a fun one. You can see I've got a 5-star Gallic, but that's because I pulled a full 4-star soul for him, and then I was able to purchase the 5-star soul for him, right next to Falja up down there.
So, I'm just looking around. Yep, yeah, I got you. Yep.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, suddenly a starter champion with a 4 or 5-star soul. Well, sign me up, because he's super easy to build, and I already had Tagore, and then I got. Trumbor, Croydon was a good one. Rella has been super helpful for me. The part of the problem is, like,
how big has Morrigan been for you? I really love Morrigan, but she's I never experienced her in the early game. You have her super fast too, man. Holy moly!
Yep,
287 for day 59 account. That's pretty impressive. Is she in your best speed gear straight up?
Yeah, good accuracy on her as well, because she needs the accuracy. I mean, some of the boots. Check those boots out. Those boots are pure luck.
Ooh, that gives you a nice reason to grind some Sand Devil, right?
Yeah. I mean, that was actually just the stuff I was given in the first place too. I just pulled those boots and said, let's see what happens. Rolled that without anything else. Obviously, I can't chaos or most of that stuff, so it's definitely frustrating.
You got a nice trip roll here on the flat stat gauntlets as well. Congrats. Yep. So how big of an impact has she had on the account, Morrigan, specifically?
I was actually surprised it wasn't as big as I thought it was going to be, because my first account 4 years ago, back when Ninja was just given away, Haikatoon I took absolutely everywhere because it was so hard for me to get any kind of speed. Haikatoon's speed lead was super clutch for me, and that increased speed, and that's why I had no problem building her when I got her here, because I know that she's a great champion and I think she's very underrated. And then I pulled Morrigan. It's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll use Morrigan instead of Haikatoon, because she is straight up better. But for the most part, Morrigan's been Arena and Doom Tower wave control. But I haven't been able to work her in dungeons, but I haven't needed to, because Tagore gives me the increased speed. So I've got half of what I get out of those champions with Tagore, combined with healing and reviving as well. So he becomes a better slot to fill than one of these speed champions I might have otherwise.
True. I tend to look at a lot of new accounts, as I know you do as well, and oftentimes you actually find, for example, Whisper. Almost every account that you look at, you find really, really S-tier champions that people just haven't invested in because they're focused on whatever they're focused on their account. So who for you has been maybe the opposite of that? Like maybe somebody that you just weren't expecting based on all your experience on your main account to be as good as they were? Like obviously I noticed Templar, and you mentioned him earlier. Would he be that guy?
Templar was so important. I made a video on it, and I went full Indiana Jones and called him the Templar of Doom. It's hilarious. I love the video. The thumbnail's awesome as well.
It's my favorite Indiana Jones movie of all of them.
Yeah, but he, and what it was is because he was eligible in Centranos for a couple of Scarab bosses there, Plus, I need to do Scarab Boss 20 hard on Doom Tower, as well as Bommel 10. And he was just absolutely key for me on Bommel 10. And to be fair, I got it from Hell Hades. I got the idea from that. But I figured I'd invest in him. And then I took him through Bommel on Bommel 20, and he helped work with Sun Wukong. And then I took him in Centranos, and he opened up about 20 more floors in Centranos for me because he got out of the way of some stuff. Now, it's very reset since then. But there's a Scarab Boss on normal if you scroll up a little bit on Plague Home. I'm not there yet, but if you go up, there he is, the Scarab Boss right there, 150 red. There he is.
Gotcha. Yep.
Now he's not on this one rotation, but on the last rotation he was there, and I was able to get through him. And because I could get through him, I was actually able to clear out almost all of that top area.
Damn.
And so that was absolutely huge as well.
Area. Yeah.
And then I actually unlocked Amius on my free to play on normal. Now, obviously, I did again previous rotation, so I don't have it here. I had no prayer against Amius. Amius was 22 turns in a cloud of dust. He's way too overtuned against on the normal stuff. But it was so many floors I unlocked. It was absolutely amazing. And these are all bonus points from the free to play. So I unlocked 65 floors in Curse City normal, which I would have never expected. And a lot of it was one of the other strategies. I think people kind of ignore Iron Twins, but you saw I didn't have any more Iron Twins keys. I run Iron Twins daily because getting souls is so important. It's a huge, huge power boost, but it's also been super helpful.
I was noticing that you have a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you get the one from Alice for free. I pulled the Monkey King one like the day I unlocked the souls, which was great. Cold Heart 2 stars, great. KL 2 stars, great.
Yep.
Some of them have been buying them in the shop for the 1 stars here or there. Relics have been great too.
I noticed you're getting relics too. I noticed you're getting quite a few relics for a brand new account.
Yeah, in fact, that's actually one of the other things. You get lucky in this stuff. You check out Alice, check her relic out.
Oh boy, let's see. Oh yeah, you got the cat's gaze.
Forged it with rare materials.
Dude, I'm like, I know you didn't get it from the event, so how did you get this thing? Congrats, man.
Yeah, forged that with rare materials. Oh, some people actually did unlock the event too. That's the kind of thing that's kind of cool. There's things I haven't done that other people did. I know there's a couple people in the content creators that have got Esme. I didn't, but I know some people did, and that's awesome that they were able to get it. In fact, this new fusion.
You have a lot of relics here, man. So this is just from just straight up the easy levels of Chimera.
Easy and normal. So you can I can 1 key normal without a problem. My best key on normal was like 33 million actually, which is pretty nuts.
That is nuts, man. That's so easy. So what, is there a big gap to hard, basically? A big
I don't think hard was open when I got that key at the time, and I haven't tried. Hard is definitely difficult. I've actually done a 10 million Hydra hard key with this team as well. I just didn't keep it because not getting the top tier chest. Well, it's not even the top tier chest. We're killing normal, and I don't have a second team. So if I took that chest on hard, I'd give up the normal key, which is actually a better chest, and I get 2 of those. So
is this your main squad here?
That is the main squad, yeah. And
pretty
then
good.
the rest of it is just kind of hope I do damage and not die right away.
Yeah. Are you man, I think my biggest takeaway from this, from having not gone through the early game in a long time, is you can actually, you're only 2 months in, you're experiencing the entire game for the most part, right? Like you're doing everything. I even saw you had some feral gear, so you're obviously doing siege, so like you're actually experiencing the entire game. Do you find it overwhelming? Like, do you think new players to be experiencing everything in this game, do you think it's overwhelming? I mean, you know it all, but like, what do you think from a new? Do you think do you agree with the cadence of the unlocks of these areas?
Well, I mean, here's the thing too. As we mentioned before, I'm going at this as a crazy pace because this is a competitive account. Most people are probably going to not get this far in the first 2 months. They're more likely to be 3 or 4 months in before they're kind of near where I'm at with stuff, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You shouldn't be judging yourself based on what I've been doing versus what you're doing.
Well, no, because you're number one.
Well, not just because of that.
How many hours a day are you playing on the? How many hours a day are you actively playing? And how many hours a day are you passively playing, roughly?
I prefer to take the fifth on that. No, Probably more than I should.
It's gonna be a lot. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's gonna be a lot.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's as you guys might know, I'm in your clan. I'm in Rise. I'm in Risen from Ashes. I also run Risen from Kittens with a separate account. I've been running all three of these accounts at the same time. I've obviously put those other two on the back burner to some extent, but you know, you still have to steer things here and there.
Yeah.
But I can run all three of them on my computer without a problem. So it's not like I can't do some of these things.
And you're obviously a content creator, like the massive shout out. I should have done at the beginning, but if in case you don't know, definitely subscribe to BRONT's channel. It's some amazing content, daily content. So it's all, you know, it feeds into the same thing like me. Like I play a freaking ton of Raid, you know, but you must be, so your full focus is for the most part on this account, like in the last 2 months?
Yeah, it's you know, Live Arena opened up and I've been doing Live Arena. That is an interesting early game experience.
Is Live Arena just total trash at this stage of the game?
Well, early Live Arena is total trash because it's almost all bots until you get out of Bronze 1. So the first 10 to 15 fights are going to be all bots. And if you're not prepared for those bot accounts specifically, they look intimidating because some of them are level 100. Some of them have multiple legendary champions.
Oh, so they don't even pretend that they're not bots. They just...
Well, they pretend they're not bots, but they're bots. But it's frustrating on multiple levels because they're pretending they're not bots. They're taking time, so they take exactly 13 to 17 seconds every time they do their turn, which is just so slow. Especially when they have no choice. They'll never give up. They'll always ban your first champion, or at least the first champion that has an aura. And so it's just been kind of interesting there. What's actually been working for me is I actually use Geomancer a lot in my arena teams too, which is actually kind of funny. We're talking about how Geo is such an MVP. In fact, I got a video coming out with Drock where we're talking about surprising uses of champions. And he was amazing because he's a single target lockout in arena. Yeah. Because of that perimeter steal.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. Especially Live Arena, like being able to go, you're manualing everything, obviously, by nature.
Yeah.
So going in there and picking and choosing, you can totally see that, you know?
Yeah. A lot of it is just basically finding ways to use champions in the best way possible.
Yep. Yep.
And,
well, I love that, man. I love that. Congratulations, obviously, on your success so far. We'll be pulling for you, man. Like I'm pulling for you, at least I'm sure my viewers are as well. What you've done is truly incredibly impressive. Like I think that people say this all the time. You watch Boozer or Colred or whatnot, and they're like, we're playing a different game. And it really is. To comparing like this from what I do, it's kind of night and day. But it's all, both have their own, to me at least, ways that you can enjoy them and fun and strategy associated with it.
I love what you do.
But it's insanely impressive given how many people are competing here, that you're number one. I'm super happy for you, and it's great for your channel as well, getting a lot of well-deserved notoriety and attention. Do you have anything that I didn't ask you or anything that you want to mention that we haven't gone through before we let you go?
I think we've mostly covered everything. It really is. I mean, you talk about it being a different game, and just to probably finish on that one there, there's the early game free to play. There's definitely a low spend account. The low spend versus free to play is not that different. So I know a lot of people will kind of think that there's a huge difference, but if all I were to do is spend $10 on this and get the gem pack, the only thing it would really do, it would definitely speed up the account progression, but it would speed it up because I could farm things a little more or just a little harder or a little faster, but it doesn't necessarily change the overall trajectory. It just changes the amount of time. So spending oftentimes is more of a time saver than it really is kind of a instant progression thing for most people, especially when you're talking a low spend type of thing. That also means that for people that are consuming content, for example, free to play, low spend, and free to play, you know, or not free to play, low spend, but, you know, free to play and a low spend could both be good content for people. But even then, it's ultimately, to some level, still the same game. The difference that you have is, you know, as somebody who spends and somebody who has an end game account, you have a lot of the things already. So you don't need to necessarily, hey, now that I got this champion, I need to go farm some more Savage gear. No, I've got 5 Savage gear sets lying around on random champions, so I can just remove one of them and move it around. So the end game becomes easier for a lot of things too. The end game honestly plays a lot more like a whale account as well, because at some point in time you get all the champions you mostly need for any account. and you just at that point in time are just making slow progress towards improving your account. It's just a little bit slower than spending.
Yeah, no, it's very good points, and I think that I had a realization maybe about a year ago on my account, and it was kind of like, I mean, you see me, I play a ton too. I mean, you see me, or maybe I'm not like super chatty, but you know, we're in the same clan, right? And a shout out for all you do. But I play a ton, but for a while, like I was doing, you know, shard openings, farming, obviously a decent amount, but I kind of recalibrated. Like I still spend obviously, but like now I'm trying to spend a lot less on champion, on like souls and in shards. And I'm really trying to reallocate to energy in gear, because I think it's like a crappy thing to say, but I think where I'm at in the end game, I feel like what I actually really need is I have all the champions I need. Like that's covered. I need, if I want to compete in live arena when leagues start, you know, I need to be farming overnight every night. Like instead of spending $300 in a shard opening a given month, spend that instead on energy, you know, so I can actually get my artifacts and my gear up. So like that's, I think, my spending mistake in the game. But I guess I say all that to say that like it's quite a different mentality, right? Like thinking even along those lines in terms of like the real progression, especially in the early game. So I love, like, I obviously wasn't in this competition, but I love watching you guys, and like hats off to you for going in there and again, outperforming everybody. Some, sure, you got lucky on some things, but everybody got lucky in some areas. So I'm just thrilled that you were able to come on, share your advice, your wisdom here with everybody, as well as your account. Thanks for letting me, you know, highlight it today.
Yeah, and I definitely appreciate you and your community as well. I know we did the collab about 6 months ago. It was the first collab I had ever done, and I'll admit I was super nervous. I probably could have done better on that sort of thing, but you have been absolutely amazingly supportive to new creators in the community, existing creators as well. And I just want to shout out to your entire, you know, community. You guys are absolutely awesome. You've given me a ton of support. You give him a ton of support. The raid community is probably the best community of gaming that I have ever been a part of.
Same, man. Totally. I mean, I appreciate it, but I couldn't agree more. You know, my viewers, I'm maybe a little biased, but I think they're the best. And this community at large is really, really solid. You know, like not a ton of drama, ton of complaints and pain points, but we share them together. It's like a big, you know, we're getting a big therapy meeting together, right? But
yeah, one community united against Polarium or something like that. You know.
Indeed, while we all play endlessly or spend all our time or money on the game at the same time. But anyway, BRONT, thanks for coming on again. Congratulations. I'll have the leaderboard if you guys want to follow it on the Hell Hades website as well. Really awesome. They're putting that together. And I should shout out that my company AMG, we're one of the sponsors, so I should probably happy to be involved as well in the event in that way. So anyway, guys, BRONT's channel will be in the description below as well as the pinned comment. Go ahead and give him some well-deserved love. BRONT, thanks for joining me. Thank you guys for watching until the end. And as always, take care, guys.
Bye.